Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely pumped you're hanging out with us because we are jumping straight into an amazing adventure inside the biblical text. We're looking specifically at the book of Proverbs, chapter 21, verses 11 through 20. Now, Proverbs is kind of famous. It's basically packed with brilliant advice on how to live an awesome life. You can think of it like a giant treasure map where every single verse is a clue pointing us toward the best way to live. So we're going to break down these incredible words and figure out exactly what they mean for you and me right now.
But hey, before we unfold that map, I've got a big question for you. What makes someone truly wise? Really think about this for a second. Are you wise just because you memorized a bunch of math facts? Or maybe because you can finally beat that impossible level in your favorite video game? Or is wisdom something else entirely? In your everyday life, at school, at home, just hanging out with your friends, what does wisdom really look like? Keep those answers in your back pocket, because the biblical text is about to show us what true wisdom actually is.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, the path of wisdom. Our very first signpost on this journey is all about staying on the right track. Imagine you're hiking through a super thick forest. You definitely need to stick to the trail, right? Well, the biblical text tells us wisdom is a specific path we choose to walk. Listen to this direct quote from verse 16. Whoever strays from the path of prudence comes to rest in the company of the dead. Whoa. Okay, I know, that sounds a little spooky. The company of the dead? But don't worry, it's not a ghost story. It's actually a giant flashing warning sign. It's literally telling us that wandering off the good path leads to dead ends and just really bad consequences.
Now, you probably noticed a pretty big word in that verse. Prudence. Prudence is, well, it's kind of like having a superpower. It's the superpower of being careful and making smart, solid choices for your future. It means instead of just doing whatever pops into your head right this second, you pause, you think, you ask yourself, is this actually a good idea? That superpower of prudence is the exact thing that keeps you safely on the path of wisdom.
So how exactly do we get this superpower? Well, verse 11 of the biblical text shows us a huge difference between two types of people, the simple and the wise. The simple, they only seem to learn their lesson when someone else, like a mocker, gets punished. They literally have to see something go terribly wrong to finally get it. But the wise, they gain knowledge just by paying close attention. You don't have to make every single mistake yourself, You can grow incredibly wise just by keeping your eyes and ears open and learning from the good things the wise people around you are already doing.
Let's move along and see how this builds. Section 2, trusting how he brings justice. Have you ever been super frustrated because something totally unfair happened on the playground? Or maybe your sibling got away with breaking the rules and you just couldn't believe it. It is so frustrating. But the biblical text has something really comforting to say about fairness. Check out verse 15. When justice is done, it brings joy to the righteous, but terror to evildoers. Imagine that awesome feeling when a broken rule is finally fixed and the truth comes out. It brings absolute joy when you're trying to do the right thing. But for someone choosing to do wrong, fairness is pretty terrifying for them because it means they're finally caught.
The text goes even deeper in verses 12 and 18, contrasting the righteous and the wicked. It tells us that the righteous take note of the house of the wicked and how it gets brought to ruin. It even says the wicked become a ransom for the righteous. Basically, this means that ultimately, people who do bad things end up facing the consequences of their own choices, while those who do the right thing are protected and kept safe.
And here's the absolute best part of it all. God sees everything, and he ensures true justice is done. You don't have to run around trying to punish people yourself or stress out that unfairness is going to win forever. He is the ultimate judge, and he perfectly balances the scales. Knowing that he is completely in charge means we can just relax, let him handle it, and stay focused on walking our own path of wisdom.
All right, transitioning to section 3, helping those in need.
This third signpost shifts our focus. We aren't just looking at our own path anymore. We're looking at the people walking right alongside us. Because being wise isn't just about protecting yourself, it's totally about how you treat others, especially those having a really tough time. Let's read verse 13. Whoever shuts their ears to the cry of the poor will also cry out and not be answered. So the crucial point here is that a truly wise person never ignores someone who is hurting. If we just plug our ears and pretend we don't hear people asking for help, well, the biblical text warns that when we eventually need help ourselves, and we all do at some point, no one will be there to answer us.
So what does this look like in real life? It's pretty simple. First, notice the need. Keep those eyes open. Second, listen carefully. And third, help out. Imagine you're at the lunch table and you notice a classmate looking super sad because they forgot their lunch. You could shut your ears and just eat your sandwich. Or you could choose to be wise. You notice they're hungry, you listen to how they feel, and you help out by sharing half of your lunch. That is wisdom in action, for sure.
Which brings us to section 4, keeping peace with others.
This fourth signpost is all about keeping the peace. Because let's face it, getting along with family and friends can be really tricky sometimes. Even wise people get annoyed. But the biblical text tells us being wise means knowing how to handle those bumpy relationships. Listen to verse 19. Better to live in a desert than with a quarrelsome and nagging wife. You can apply this funny yet totally true verse to anyone who is constantly arguing. Think about it. Would you rather live out in a scorching hot desert surrounded by scorpions and cactus spikes, or in a nice air-conditioned house where someone is just complaining and picking fights every single minute of the day? The text jokes that you'd honestly be happier with the scorpions.
And the punchy takeaway here? Peace is always, always better than arguing. Nobody likes constant nagging. It drains your energy and just makes everyone miserable. A truly wise person knows that winning some silly argument is never worth losing your peace.
And this brilliantly illustrates how we can actually build that peace. Verse 14 gives us a fantastic pro tip. A gift given in secret soothes anger, and a bribe concealed in the cloak pacifies great wrath. Now hold on, it's not saying you should bribe people to do bad things. It's talking about being a secret peacemaker. Sometimes when a sibling or friend is just super angry, yelling back only throws gasoline on the fire. But doing something kind and quiet for them, maybe leaving a little drawing on their bed, or just doing their chore without saying a word, can completely melt their anger away and fix the whole shebang.
All right, we've made it to our final stop. Section 5, saving instead of wasting.
Pulling up to our fifth and final signpost, this one is incredibly practical. It focuses entirely on how we handle the good things we're given. Do we protect them, or do we just toss them away? Let's read verse 20. The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down. Imagine having this giant glass jar, filled to the absolute brim with your favorite treats. A wise person takes a little bit, puts the lid back on tight, and saves the rest for later. But the fool? They just tip the jar back and gulp the entire thing down in 5 seconds flat.
It's the ultimate showdown. The wise saver versus the foolish gulper. Think about Halloween candy. The wise saver separates their candy out, eats maybe a piece or two a day, and enjoys those treats all the way into December. The foolish gulper eats every single candy bar on night 1. And what happens? Not only is their candy totally gone the next day, but they are left with a massive stomachache. Being wise means having the self-control to save good things for later.
Because, as verse 17 warns us, whoever loves pleasure will become poor. Whoever loves wine and olive oil will never be rich. If we only ever chase after instant fun and fancy things, which is what the wine and olive oil represent here, we're going to use up all our resources. If you spend all your time and everything you have on just playing and snacking right now, you won't have anything saved up for the important stuff later. Loving just pleasure and treats will leave your pockets completely empty.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final big question. Which path are you going to choose to walk today? Are you going to be the simple fool who gulps things down, ignores the poor, and constantly picks fights? Or will you tap into that superpower of prudence? Will you be the wise person who listens, acts fairly, saves for the future, and closely follows his path? The amazing thing about wisdom is it's a choice you get to make every single day. So, make it a great one. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through Proverbs chapter 21, and I absolutely cannot wait to explore more with you next time.